So today we're going to install this mother clutcher on the RZR 1000. I've been selling these clutches since 2016 when we started off with the RZR 800. Me and some of my buddies went out and tested the prototypes. Then I had a small batch made. We had 20 of them, and I just kept with the customers on them for a full 6 months of feedbacks and just really worked out anything I could back. And 2017 we added the 900, and then we got to the RZR 1000 and just been improving them ever since. I am confident offering these with a 1-year warranty. Some of the things that sets these apart from the competition is I was able to get the OEM shaft manufacturer for these, and they do have upgraded material for the buttons and the rollers that are available, which is some of the common problems that I've seen with the competition's clutches. So today's install, I'm going to be using one of these puller tools that we also have available on the website. The one thing that is different about this tool is it's shorter up here. It's long enough to, it'll release the clutch when you have maybe that much showing, but this one will still fit in your glove box versus, you know, some of the other ones I've seen are out to here. You can keep this one in the RZR with you. The other thing that we're going to be installing on today's clutch is we're going to go ahead and do away with the OEM bolt. This one was a 10.9 grade bolt, but the problem I've seen with these is they, especially if you just over tighten them just a little bit, they can actually snap right here in this area. I have no idea why Polaris would make the shaft smaller just for there, but we went ahead and had this one also available separately, which is just a HD bolt for the primary clutch. It is 10.9, the same as the other, but you have the same size all the way down for extra strength. I think we've wrapped up as far as what all is going to be installed, so let's get to it and get this clutch installed on the RZR. Today we're going to be using an 18mm wrench and an 18mm socket starting out before we can get access to this cover. I have been able to fish one out behind here before, but I don't recommend it. The amount of time that it's going to take, I'd say just save yourself the time and just go ahead and get a jack and get your shock out of the way. I mean, you've only got a couple inches back here to work with until you get that shock out of the way. So I'll put the breaker bar and an 18mm socket on the back side, and then we're going to put the 18mm wrench on the front. After you get a couple turns on it, you should be able to switch over to a regular 1/2-inch ratchet. All right, once you have the nut off the back of the lower shock mounting bolt, it will have the weight of the vehicle on it until you get your jack in the right position. You can kind of look at it from this way and see if it's tilted up or down. Adjust your jack accordingly until you can just press it out with your finger on the back. Once that's out of the way, you can pick your shock up, get it on the tire to somewhere to get it out a little bit. Whatever you got to do to get it away from this cover. Next thing we'll be using will just be a basic, today's install is all basic tools, but the next one you could use a 5/16 or you could use 8mm, same difference, and it'll be getting this hose duct out of the way first. If they'll stay back here now that we've got the duct and the shock out of the way, we could start to remove our plastic clutch cover. That'll stay there. Same tool for the clutch cover, it'll just be the small drive with the 5/16 or the 8mm. Now, as you can see, with your eight of your 8mm bolts removed, you can now remove your cover. If that shock was still there, you'd have a heck of a time figuring out which way to go. I've been able to drop one with the shock before kind of down in this way, but it was just, or up in this way, but it was just, you know, too tight. With the shock out of the way, you can just go straight up and over. Still a little tight, it's not as bad as it was. And then next thing we'll be doing is swapping out this clutch, so I'll have to get the 3/4 socket. All right, as stated on the intro, we were going to do this with no air compressor, just because I have had some people ask me, or order a clutch even when they were out on a trail for the weekend and just say, you know, I've went out of town for X amount of time. I'm stuck here. How could I It's just basically to be able to change your clutch on the fly with no access to any special tools. You would need some type of a bar, I guess preferably 2 foot or longer. I'm just going to use this, and a breaker bar. I've even used 2 breaker bars before. One of them you'll run through your primary clutch up against this frame mount, and then the other one you'll use to loosen your bolt. And that's, you know, one way to do it without access to an air compressor or any air tools. I'm going to try to just find a spot to run this one through between the spider on the clutch, and then prop it up against that so it doesn't have anywhere to rotate when we put this breaker bar on it. Alright, and I think I got enough of a turn I can switch out to a regular, just a regular 1/2-inch drive. Alright, so just switching out from a 7/8 to a 1-inch socket to get on the removal tool. So this one, the tool, instead of bracing on that, it's gonna have to brace over here somewhere. Alright, so this time I've got the 1-inch drive and the tool's braced up on this side now, just to keep the clutch from spinning. When we tighten that tool in, it should push the clutch off of the crankshaft. There it goes. Move the puller tool and then your bar. And the OEM clutch is out. Oh, there it is. Alright, so we got off the bad Polaris OEM clutch, and we're going to replace it with one with the new mother clutcher primary clutch. Oh, and the upgraded bolt as well. We got the new primary clutch ready, doing away with the old bolt. Go ahead and swap that in with it. On the belt, you'll want to just guide it up, sheave in first behind it, get it lined up, nothing to it. And another thing about this new mounting bolt is it has the tapered part where that washer was built into it, along with the top flat washer. It's all flanged, so just one piece ready to go without the extra 2 pieces. Alright, and then back to doing it with no air tools. I'll get this to hold it still so we can tighten that mounting bolt. I'm going to run it up under this so it'll hopefully pull up and get to the right place. There you go. This is the part where if you're on the trail, I would say just to tighten it down. Maybe not jump on it or anything, but just tighten it down. Trying to get a good gauge for without your torque wrench, exactly how far, and I'd kind of hold the breaker bar maybe a foot in and just give it a good, the factory calls for 96 pounds, so that's, you know, get it close enough to get it home or get it back. Alright, I think we're ready to put the plastic cover back on. The shock and the tube's still out of the way. I'm going to try to go in from this side. We'll see how that goes. There we go, a lot smoother than the last time. Now just putting back the 8mm bolts, or screws. With your 8mm screws back in and they're snug, no need to overdo it, they're just going into plastic. I'm ready to put this duct back on. Alright, I think we're down to just getting our shock absorber Getting our rear shock back in place and getting that bolt lined up to the hole. Let's let the jack man settle a little bit. Alright, so here's the fun part, usually trying to get it just right. Alright, shock bolt through and got the nut to the back. Again, without a torque wrench, I'm just giving as much as I can without a breaker bar. If you wanted to be extra sure, you could always put the breaker bar back on. I want to say that, I'd have to look and think it's 150 foot-pounds on that one. And that should be all back together and ready to roll with your new mother clutcher primary drive clutch. All right, thanks for watching today's install video. Big shout out to all the long-term customers and friends that have been there since day one, helped me get this business where it is today. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. There'll be more videos to come. See you next time.